Hey guys, LadyLibertyStacker. It is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020, and I'm headed home from the flea market. Didn't find a thing. Beautiful day. There was rain in the forecast, so most of the vendors did not show up. So anyway, sorry for the fingers. I don't have my GoPro camera with me today, so I'm going to use my smartphone. So trying to make it as even on the eyes or easy on the eyes as possible. But anyway, I came home also from a flea market on Sunday, and I'm trying to roll these into one clip because it was kind of long. Went to the flea market Sunday, got a great deal, walked all the way down one row and back up another before I saw any skillets that looked interesting. The one guy was way overpriced. He wanted $20 for no-name, poor condition skillets, and $30 for other skillets that were so-so. And I just passed. And then I was, almost getting ready to leave, and I thought I'd check one corner up in the front. And this guy happened to be a real big vendor. I had no idea he'd have cast iron. He had like 6, other than all his tables he had laid out, he had 6 storage units filled with stuff. One of them had cast iron skillets hanging up. To make a long story short, I made a deal with him. I picked up 6, probably paid for 5 because one had a special issue, which you'll see coming up. But he was able to take a credit card, and I paid a little bit more for the pieces, but they're historic, they're quite collectible, and I'm sure I should get my money back and then some, especially with the sale of a couple of those. But it gives me something to restore. They're in the lie bath right now, but you're going to see them before I do that on the future clips. Today, I stopped at one antique mall. It was closed. It normally is open. And I stopped at another one. There was only one piece of interest. I ended up getting that. And I may do a quick show at the end. I'll take a picture of it or do a short clip when I get home. It was an antique made in the 1800s, something you don't see every day. And I got a pretty good deal on it, and I can make a nice return on that one. Just throw it in the lie bath and go from there. I love those old pieces. You just don't find them as often as you'd like. And the longer we go on, the harder it's going to be to find them as more and more people pick them up and so forth. But yeah, one thing I want to say though, a couple of videos ago I was disappointed in how many views it got. Did not get nearly as many views as I thought it was. It was the one pertaining to setting up a huge monster lie bath with the big Sterilite black tank, 40-gallon tank with the yellow cover. And I picked up a number of pieces at the flea market. That was last week ago today, and I made that lie bath. And I thought it would have gotten a lot more interest than that because you can process so many skillets at once in there. Whether you use vinegar soak after or an e-tank or what have you, you can still get a lot done in there. But anyway, not that many people watched. I don't know if they're tired of seeing my flea market hauls. But you know what? Honestly, you have no idea. I've been collecting this stuff for 3 years now. Sometimes you end up empty. I went to the flea market day, nothing. The first antique mall closed. Second antique mall, only one. This guy usually has a number of cast iron pieces, but I guess he's a contractor, and he has a little antique mall or booth in this antique mall, and he's real busy now, and he didn't have that much to sell, unfortunately. He had about 4 pieces. I got the one that was the only interesting one, I will say that. But guys, it's not always as easy as I make it seem. I'm showing you my good deals. I do pay up a little bit for them. And what I said in the other clip, I'm trying to cut down on the time on this. What I said on the other clip is that, you can run an ad. You can probably pick them up cheaper. It's all timing. You can probably get them less if you're willing to buy out everything somebody has. That's a little risk for me. If my husband's willing to go with me, I may try that route. Definitely would do that, or if I had a friend go with me. Otherwise, it's probably just easier for me to go to the flea markets, pay up a little bit, but I have 5-6 quality pieces usually at one time, at which I can turn for a nice profit, and I have something to restore. So it's not always as easy as it looks, and you know, even, you know, anybody on YouTube that makes videos and it shows all their accomplishments, they have the failures or the downtimes, or, you know, on the unlucky days or whatever. A lot of them aren't showing you. And today I felt like one of those days for me. I just made the most of it, came back from the flea market, and decided that I would stop and at the grocery store and pick up some supplies, get some gas. Got 50 cents off of gas with my Advantage card, which is cool. Went back to the antique shop. It was closed. Went to the other antique shop and found one antique. So at any rate, I just had to make lemonade out of a lemon, if you will, and go from there. All right, stay tuned for the clips that come up. Over and out. Okay guys, I'm back home, and you're gonna see this. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you now, and then I'll go into the next clip. You're gonna see as a result of my flea market finds last week. I actually made that video Monday, and you're gonna see how those skillets turned out. And this is what I came up with at the one antique shop or antique mall today that I ended up with. So let me get it out of the bag. This is an antique griddle, and we go ahead and see that it's a 7. Has a little bit of rust on there. Hopefully it'll come out, but it's an antique, and I know this because of the gate mark on the back. It's got a heat ring, and it's got some rust, and it's got some pitting, but pitting is very, very typical in pieces like this made from the 1800s. I'm not sure what this dates to. It could have been Civil War for all we know. But these do real well on eBay, and I picked it up for $9 and change, so I was happy about that. Now we're going to put it on the glass tabletop, and it does not spin. And it has a little bit of a wobble, but I think it was the way it was constructed, but it does not spin. And it seems, the surface seems relatively flat. I don't have a card to show you, but I was happy with this piece. And I'm going to go throw it in the lye bath now. And I'm hoping that's just rust, not fire damage, but at any rate, we'll find out. We'll find out. Sometimes it's worth the risk when you don't have to pay up too much for pieces. All right, I'll be back.
Hey guys, LadyLibertyStacker, I'm back again. It is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, and I wanted to show you my flea market finds over here. Stack of skillets I picked up on Sunday, but first I'm going to show you the ones I finished up from Wednesday's flea market haul. I still have a couple pieces I'm working on there. Actually, I've got 5 more pieces. I showed you 11. These are 6. Those are still, 2 of them are done. They're stripped. I'm just waiting to finish up the other 3. You know, from the lye bath. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and show you these. This one is a number 3, very smooth surface. None of these really spin. Here's this one, sits pretty flat. It is the number 3 single notch lodge. It was made, I believe, in the 1830s. Has single notch there. It's got a Y on its side, maker's mark with 3 lines. They call this the Monday morning skillet. I call it an error skillet because the 3 is backwards. When you hold it right side up, the 3 is backwards. So when you hang the skillet upside down, that's when the 3 is correct. They call this a Monday morning skillet, but it is an error skillet. Not sure how it came about, but I guess the story is that you had the drunken guy that worked in the foundry came back and put the mold in backwards, or some crazy story like that. I don't know if it's true. I tried to look it up, but that's what I heard anyway. Okay, here it is, Monday morning skillet. Beautiful piece. A little bit of staining on the back, which couldn't be helped, but actually it's just gorgeous. So we'll go ahead and put that to the side. Next up is a 3-notch lodge made in the 1950s. It's got beautiful millwork on it still. You can see a few utensils. Cleaned up great. This was the one covered in rust. Just, when you can tell rust versus fire damage when it's bright orange. When it's orange like that and a little bit crusty on the top, there's usually nothing to be afraid of. It's just, actually, you could almost call it protective rust if you wanted to. Because look at underneath. It just seems like this piece is very, very well preserved. Beautiful. It's got the 3-notch lodge at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, and a 2-dot maker's mark down here, and a flattened handle lodge trademark that goes into the sidewall. So that's another number 3. Then you guys would remember my pickup from an antique mall. This is a Chicago Hardware Foundry number 3 hammered skillet. Beautiful piece. And has a nice smooth bottom there. These are generally unmarked, but the only markings will be an 8 or a 9 here with an undersign or a dash or whatever you want to call it with the size here. And this is a 3 that probably had sand or something get in the way in the mold, and a D, model D. And this one, no movement either. And I'm going to show you a little trick. You can actually take a wooden spoon. It still will ring. And this one, that one rings really nice. And this one is our Monday morning air skillet, rings really nice. You can take one of these to the flea market, and it may help you make a better decision. But it's harder to tell when they're covered in old seasoning and rust and crud, as sometimes the case may be. But next up is a number 5. Normally don't pick these up, but this one is a large slant Griswold logo made from 1906 to 1920. It has a teardrop, beautiful teardrop handle, a heat ring, and just a little bit of pitting. It sits flat, doesn't spin, has a nice smooth cooking surface, and there's some utensil marks there from use. These people didn't buy them back in the day to collect, they bought them to use them. So that's the Griswold large slant logo, beautiful piece, number 5. And next up is a number 7. And this is a Griswold large block logo. And this was made in the 1930 to 1940, somewhere in there. I'd have to remember. Some of these I just get so, I forget from which ones to which ones. But this is 701B. It turned out beautiful. It has a slight rock, but it will not spin. It'll be a great cooker, and it's a beautiful piece. It has a little bit of staining on the inside that I was not able to remove with all the soaking that I did with it. Pretty much, if you can't get it off with the way I restore them, nothing's going to take it off. And you don't want to ruin the piece by soaking too long or sanding it or wire wheeling it. So, but this is the number 7 Griswold. So we'll go ahead and it rings too. So I'll put that back. Got to be very careful here. These are getting heavy. And don't want to drag them across my glass stove top. Finally, the last one that I have ready to go is a number 10. This one just sits real flat. No movement. It is a Griswold, a number 10 Griswold, and this one will go for good money. This one, I mean, the larger they are in general, they go for more money, especially when they're in good condition. This one's in excellent condition. It's a 716D, small double-cross Griswold logo, and it is, trying to get in close here, more in the GoPro, number 10. Beautiful skillet. I paid up for that one because the vendor knew what he had. But sometimes it's worth it. You pay up for them, as long as they're good like that. And you can, if you restore them like I do, you can still sell them for a nice profit. Okay, those are those. And if you want a link to my eBay store, send me an email to LadyLibertyStacker@gmail.com, and I can give you a link. All right, now for what I found at the flea market Sunday. Got another doozy here. I picked this up. It's a Griswold number 9 lid, Dutch oven lid for a tight top. Dutch oven, number 9. And if you can see there, it's got a crack on it. That didn't bother me as much with the lid, because lids don't operate in the same way as a pan does. You just simply put it on top of whatever you're... So you put it on top of whatever you're cooking, and it'll help you saute, it'll help you, steam things, or keep things warm, or keep things from splattering. So the crack is not going to prevent it from doing what it's supposed to do. You can see it right here, but I thought I'd pick it up anyway, because I've always wanted a lid like this, in this condition, unrestored. If you find it in an antique mall, You don't find them too often, but when you do, I've seen price tags as high as $90 on these things. In restored condition without the crack, they go from 100 to 200 depending on condition. This one is fairly rare. It still would sell with the crack, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to go ahead and restore it, throw it into lye. It's got beautiful markings on it. Well, why not? Okay, now, next up is a very small salesman demo. It's a 0 cast iron skillet, double circle Griswold logo. This is number 562. Cute little skillet. It'll clean. Hopefully it'll clean up really well. And we're going to put that into the lye tank and get that going. Those actually can sell for pretty crazy money as well. They're very, very small, but rarity also counts. These, number 2s, number 4s, go for more money than a 3, 5, and an 8. It's kind of nuts, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, it's a cute little guy. I didn't look him up. I just figured I'd grab him while I had a chance, because there's a lot of people at the flea market that were looking at all that cast iron. Next up is another chef skillet. You can easily tell these by the handle. This is a Wagner. I don't know if it's marked or not, but it does say chef skillet, 9-inch, made in the USA, so it's made in the 1960s or 70s. I'm not sure which. Got to uncover. It's got a lot of surface rust. That doesn't bother me. It'll probably help in restoring the piece. These usually clean up very, very well. It looks like there could be markings there, but I doubt it. In a certain light, I thought I saw a Wagner, but we'll have to wait and see until I get it into the lye bath. It does have a little bit of a spin, but on a glass stovetop, on this type of skillet, most of them are going to have some movement. But there's really very little wobble though, extremely little wobble. It's just going to be very easy to cook with, especially on a gas range, a coiled electric stove, induction, what have you. But this is a great skillet. A lot of times you just go like this with them, but we'll put that to the side. No cracks on that one. Move that over here and take pictures of these before they go into the lye bath. Next up is a number 8. And this is a nice, old, very little movement, number 8. It says cast iron skillet at the top, Griswold, slant Griswold, Erie, PA, USA. It looks like it had been partially stripped, but they kind of gave up because this seasoning never came off. It has a little bit of a fold in the middle, and I think that was due to the mold. Some of them have wave lines like my other one does. This one just looks like a dent, a little bit of scratching right there. Hopefully I can just sand that down with my, not my wire wheel, but just some sanding paper or the steel wool, that kind of thing. I don't know what the person was doing with that, but still a great skillet. It's got a ribbed handle and very little movement. So there we go. I'll set that down over there. And the last two are really unique finds. This is a number, very little movement again. It's an Erie with the quotations. You really can't see it. I can't show you too much in the video, but it does have a maker's mark. It's a number 8, and this one has an outside heat ring. It's a series 2. These are very, very sought after and valuable. It's light. It's got the ribbed reinforced handle, and it was made in the late 1800s. These are great. It's great that this piece survived. I have one other. It's a star maker's mark, and those, I just saw one on eBay that sold for $249 in the late 1800s. These are great. It's great that this piece survived. I have one other. It's a star maker's mark, and those, I just saw one on eBay that sold for $249 plus shipping. I haven't bothered to sell mine yet because I can't bear to part with it, but this one I will sell, and that one will go, not quite as much, but it'll go for decent money. This one here, the number 8 here was quite a bit heavier than this piece here. Very light. It would be very easy to cook with. Extremely great on a gas range, coiled electric stove. It will work on a glass top. You just have to do your time in letting it heat up. But you can see here, there's no burn markings and anything like that. Sometimes when they're really, really warped, you got a big black hole in the middle there. This one looks like in pretty decent shape. Again, these were made in the late 1800s. It is a Series 2. It's got no model number, but it does have a maker's mark. Series 1 had no maker's mark, just a number and Erie. Very interesting. So, at any rate, that's what I got at the flea market. And these are all going to go into the lye bath after I take the before and after pictures of them. So I do thank you guys for watching. Please remember to leave a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a thumb up on the video to help more people see this video and search if you do that. Even thumbs down, believe it or not, they actually count. So it's better than no activity, but I prefer a thumbs up if you like videos like this. But thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate your support, and go make it a great day.